By the end of the week, you don't always feel tired in a simple way. It's not just physical, it's layered. Conversations you didn't finish, decisions you had to make too quickly, things you kept to yourself because there wasn't time or space to explain them. It builds up quietly, and by Friday, or sometimes even earlier, you feel it sitting somewhere in your chest and in the back of your head at the same time. That's when the idea starts forming. Not loudly, just a thought that keeps returning. You need to get out, not to go somewhere busy, not to distract yourself, somewhere quieter, somewhere where things don't keep piling on. So you decide to go fishing. You don't make a big announcement about it. You don't need to justify it. It's not a plan you overthink. It's more like something your body already understands before your mind catches up. You pack your gear, maybe later that evening, maybe early the next morning. The movement itself already feels different, slower, more deliberate, like you're stepping out of one rhythm and preparing to enter another. And the truth is, you're not going there just for fish. If it were only about catching something, the timing wouldn't matter this much. But there's a reason it happens after a hard week, because something in you needs to come down from a constant level of pressure, not collapse, not escape completely, just come down enough to feel normal again. During the week, your attention is split in too many directions. Work demands focus, people expect responses, small problems stack into bigger ones, and even when you're technically done for the day, your mind keeps running. There's always one more thing to think about, one more thing you could have said differently, one more thing waiting for you tomorrow. Fishing interrupts that loop. When you reach the water, there's a shift that doesn't need explanation. It's not dramatic, there's no sudden relief, but something loosens. The environment changes the way your mind behaves. The noise that felt constant starts to spread out, not disappear, but lose its grip. The horizon is wider, the pace is slower. Nothing is chasing you there. You set up your rod, sit down, and for the first time in days, you're not reacting to anything. That matters more than it seems. Most of the week is reactive. Messages come in, problems appear, someone needs something, something breaks, something changes. You adapt, you adjust, you respond, over and over again. But here, sitting by the water, you're finally in a place where nothing is demanding an immediate reaction. You cast, and then you wait. And in that waiting, your system begins to recalibrate. It's a different kind of attention. You're not trying to solve 10 things at once. You're not jumping between tasks. You're watching one line, one surface, one small set of signals. It's simple, but not empty. Your mind has something to focus on, but it's not overloaded. And because of that, it starts to settle. There's also something important about the rhythm. Cast, wait, adjust, repeat. It's predictable. It doesn't change every 5 minutes. And after a week where everything felt unstable or demanding, that predictability becomes grounding. Your body starts to follow the rhythm. Your breathing slows down. Your shoulders drop. You stop scanning for the next problem. You're just there. And that just being there is not something you get very often. Fishing after a hard week becomes a form of decompression that doesn't require explanation. You don't have to talk through what happened. You don't have to organize your thoughts into something coherent. You don't have to look for solutions immediately. You give your mind space to process without forcing it to perform. That's why it works, because a lot of what builds up during the week isn't something you can solve in one conversation or one decision. It needs time. It needs quiet. It needs distance from the source of pressure, and sitting by the water gives you exactly that without asking anything in return. There's also a sense of control that returns, not control over everything, but over something real and immediate. You choose where to sit. You choose when to cast. You adjust based on what you see. The environment responds in simple, understandable ways. In contrast to the unpredictability of work and social dynamics, this feels clean. It reminds you that not everything is chaotic. Some things still follow clear patterns. That has a psychological effect. It brings your mind back from abstraction into something physical, something grounded. You're not stuck in your head as much. You're in your hands, in your posture, in your surroundings, and that shift alone reduces the pressure you've been carrying. Sometimes, after a particularly heavy week, you notice that you don't even care that much if you catch anything. You still try. You still pay attention, but the outcome matters less than the process, because what you actually needed wasn't a result. It was this period of slowed time, this gap between responsibilities, this space where you're not being measured or evaluated. And there's something honest about that. No one is watching you here. No one is expecting you to be productive, efficient, or impressive. You're not proving anything. You're not building anything. You're just letting your system come back into balance. But there is also a subtle tension in it, because sometimes the need to go fishing after a hard week is not only about rest. Sometimes it's about how difficult it is to unwind in any other way. The week doesn't just tire you out. It fills you up. And if you don't create space like this, it carries over into your mood, into your sleep, into the way you show up with other people. So this becomes necessary. Not in a dramatic sense. You're not saying you can't function without it, but you recognize that without some form of reset, things start to accumulate. And over time, that accumulation changes you. It makes you shorter, more reactive, less patient. Fishing interrupts that trajectory. You come back from it different, even if only slightly. Not completely reset, not fully clear, but quieter, more even. The edge is reduced. The tension is not sitting as high, and that difference carries into the next week. You're a little less reactive, a little more patient, a little more grounded in yourself. Not because you solved everything, but because you gave your mind the conditions it needed to stop pushing so hard. That's why you keep doing it. Not because every trip is perfect, not because every outing is productive, but because the pattern works. A hard week builds pressure. Fishing releases it. Not instantly, not dramatically, but consistently enough that you trust it. So when you decide to go fishing after a hard week, it's not random. It's a response your system has learned. A way of stepping out of noise and back into something slower. A way of turning down the internal volume without having to force it. A way of sitting with everything you've been carrying until it becomes lighter. You don't go there just to catch something. You go there because it's one of the few places where the week finally lets go of you.